This is the budget. If you hover over the forms menu, you'll get a chance to see all of the budget areas that are listed here, the budget forms. So as you can see, it's several different budget forms for you to click on. Complete each section that applies to your project. So your question is, what do you need to complete your project? Which one of these areas do you need? So the first one I'm going to talk about is personal services. Personal services is salaries and benefits. So you hear us talk about personal services a lot. That's what we mean. We're talking about salaries and benefits. Some of you may not have that in your project, but probably the majority of you in the room today will have salaries and benefits. You're going to complete each column for all the positions required. So, go back, Scarlett. So right here where it says position and title, that's where you're going to list, again, the position and title. Officer A, Officer B, it could be executive director. Whatever the position and title is, that's what you want to put here. Then, right here where it has pay code, very important. This is how your agency, how your organization gets paid. How do they get paid? When you click on the drop down, they may get paid monthly, bi-weekly, hourly, like we, semi-monthly, we're a state agency. Whatever is applicable, again, to your agency or your organization. The next one, no, Scarlett, we don't stay on this page. The next one is hours per week. Some of you, 40 hours per week. If that's what it is, that's what you want to put here. The next one, right here, pay rate. What is the pay rate for the person that you've listed in the position and title? You want to put that here. If it's $18 an hour, that's what the pay rate is. Then we have the annual salary. List that there. What is the annual salary? The next, very important, percent of time. What percent of time will they actually work on the project? If they're working 100% of the time, of course, that's what you would put there. 100% of the time. Next, project salary. So how this works, everything should flow mathematically straight across, okay? Because you've told us the pay code, you've told us the hours per week, pay rate, annual salary, percent of time. So, for an example, annual salary ends up being $50,000. They're going to work 100% of the time. Their project salary will be $50,000. Very good. Okay, let's try another one. Annual salary, $50,000. They're going to work 50% of the time. Project salary, $25,000. You got it. You got it. And most importantly, up here, we fail to mention this sometimes, but it says all required fields are marked with an asterisk. May not see it here, but we need all of this completed here if salaries and benefits are a part of your project, okay? So just keep that in mind. Now, this is just an example of how it might look. Yours, of course, will look a little different because it will be different figures, of course. But I just want to give you an example of how it would look when you complete it. So I didn't list the position and titles, but I just did everything else for you. Bi-weekly, pay code, pay rate, and so forth. Now, you might say, well, wait, she has a 0 up there for the project salary because that's an in-kind employee. So that means your agency or organization is paying for them. The other two, those are being paid from the grant. So just keep that in mind, okay? Next, it says benefits. Now on this page, number 1 says project salaries and percent of time will automatically populate, and it will. It will automatically populate in these 2 fields right here. Then you come down, it says complete with percentages for each benefit requested. You may not have all of these fringe benefits. You may have one or two. Remember what's applicable to your agency or your organization. Now, right here where it says FICA, of course, we know that's Social Security. What I look for when I see this, when applications come in, I want to make sure that the rate is not more than 7.65%. That's federal, so we can't change that. So I definitely look for that. Sometimes, every now and then, you'll get an application and somebody put in there 8%. Automatically, we know we're going to have to send that application back, for modifications. So then some people, some agencies or organizations, they'll put 6.2%, because if they're paying Medicare, they'll come down here where it says other, and they'll put the 1.45% down here. So again, of course, those two add up to 7.65, but that's just the variations in organizations. And then, of course, if you have retirement, you're going to put the percentage here, health insurance, workers' comp, and so forth. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. Do not make sure FICA is never over 7.65. So we got our project salary up here, we got our total for our benefits right here, and that's what makes up the total for personal services. Because remember, personal services means what? Salaries plus benefits. Very good. And most importantly, we're going to save. Very good. So here's an example of how it might look when you complete it. Got our percent of time here. That's for the number of people, the number of employees. You got your project salary. We got all of this filled out for your benefits. And again, we have our budget now for total personal services, okay? Very important right here. This is what we call the pay schedule. Now on that first form we saw, the budget form, we indicated what our pay code is. How does your agency or organization get paid? So you already told us earlier on the first form, so you're just going to put it again right here. Then we're dealing with the month, the beginning date, ending date, and actual pay date. All of this is related to how you get paid. So this is very important because we had a few instances where I guess it was with probably the first claim for October. Sometimes pay periods overlap. So we want to make sure, because I handle the claims as well once you've been awarded and you're submitting your first claim to us, we want to make sure that you're not including any salaries for September. So this beginning date, the reason I'm saying that part, the beginning date here, if it begins in September, your payroll, we want you to put that here. For an example, say for instance, the payroll started September 22nd, ended on October 5th. I want you to put that there, because what you're going to do once you're awarded, you become an actual grantee, because all of you will be, I believe that. And you submit that claim to us. I want to know that, okay, wait a minute, it started in September, ended in October, but I'm only reimbursing you for those first 5 days of October. But every now and then, somebody will have that September in there, and we might mistakenly reimburse you for September, and we can't do that because this grant starts October 1, okay? So that means that the grantee would have had to prorate those salaries. That's all I'm trying to say in a nutshell. So that's why we want you to start it on the actual day it really begins. If it begins October 1 and ends October 15th, 16th, something like that, fine, you're good. But if it started September, just make sure you put it here, okay? And then here's an example of what I was just talking about. So this is an example of how the pay schedule might look. So we're all good? All right. Vita's going to come up next and talk about the rest of the budget.